gotta back up.
This is so good.
Okay, we gotta back up. Now you guys are following me?
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta back up. I forgot to hit record again, so we're
The
gonna start
wonderful thing about
over.
this is because, I mean, we are seeing what a huge bucket of manure that whole temple system was.
Yes.
What,
Oh, yes.
I mean,
yes.
Oh my.
Okay,
Lord.
so let's back up for the sake of the recording. I just hit record and I forgot to hit it again. So we just read Revelation 13:1 to 13:10. So those of you that are just tuning in, please read that. Hit pause and read that. Now, we went back to Revelation 13:1, and it says, I stood upon the sand of the sea. Now, I explained how sea is the Gentiles, and I read an example from Ezekiel 26:3. So you guys can read that on your own. But over and over in Scripture, if you look up sea, they used sea to represent the Gentiles because the sea is vast and it's wild, it's uncontrolled, and so it is, the Gentiles are like the sea. So he says, and I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw from out of the sea, or out of the nations, a wild beast ascending, having 10 horns and 7 heads, and upon the horns 10 diadems, and upon his heads a name of blasphemy. Well, then I took us to Revelation 17:10 and 11, where it explains what those 7 heads are, and it's the 7 kings. And we'll read that real fast here, just for you guys. And there are 7 kings, and 5 have fallen. The one is, and the one is not yet come. And whenever he should come, he must remain a little while. Okay, and it talks, if you read above that, it talks about how the 7 heads are those 7 kings. So now we know the 7 heads of the beast are these 7 kings. Well, I just explained those 7 heads. If we look at the very first world leader who tried to dominate the world, his name was Julius Caesar, and he reigned from, what did I say?
49 BC,
49,
44 BC.
Yeah. I have it written down here. Okay, yeah, 49 BC to 44 BC. And he was the very first Roman emperor, or he was the first one to start to dominate, to be a dictator. And the then known Roman world was from the British Isles all the way down to Egypt. They had conquered all those places. So if we count Julius Caesar as the very first king or first head in this beast, then Augustus was his great nephew who he had adopted. Augustus reigned from 27 BC to 14 AD. Then Tiberius, Claudius Nero, he reigned from 14 to 37 AD. Then we have the 4th one, Caligula Gaius, 37 to 41 AD. Then we have Claudius, who's the 5th one, and that reigned from 41 to 54 AD. Now the 6th one, John said, now is. The 6th one was the most wicked of them all, and his name was Nero. And he's famous for his wickedness. And Nero, he reigned from 54 AD until he committed suicide on June 9th, 68 AD. And then the 7th one, who reigned a little while, his name was Galba, Galba, and he reigned for 7 months from 68 AD to 69. So he reigned for a little while. So now we know that the 7 heads of the wild beast, the wild beast has to be Rome. the Roman world. And then, so we take that, and then Rome had split. They had split up the empire into 10 provinces or 10 states, whatever you want to call it.
Kingdom?
10 kingdoms, and they had kings. The Roman Emperor Augustus appointed Herod to be the king of the Jews. And Herod, so Herod was king of the Jews when Yahushua was born. And he tried to kill Yahushua because he heard that the real king of the Jews was born. So he had to try to kill him, and he didn't succeed. Okay, and he succeeded in killing John the Baptist. Remember that?
What is his reign?
His reign, did I?
Which Herod was this?
This was Herod the Great. I didn't write it down.
That's okay, no problem.
No, I didn't write it down, but you can look him up.
Yeah.
Herod the Great. Now, I looked up on Wikipedia that Herod's temple, the temple in Jerusalem, was rebuilt by Herod, and it was just being finished at the time that Yahushua was walking the earth. And when he talks in Matthew chapter 24, and they're like, look at these buildings, how beautiful. And he says, I tell you, not one stone will be left standing. And this generation will not pass away until all this be fulfilled. That temple was Herod's temple. Herod, the Roman king of the Jews, had this temple rebuilt. And we read in Josephus that that the high priests, the priests that were in there, were appointed by the Roman king of the Jews. Okay? So they were Roman high priests. They were not Jewish. They could have been Jewish, but they were Hellenistic, and they were
not appointed by
Yahuwah. Yeah.
So
Which means it wasn't Yeshua's temple.
Or the proper lineage.
Yes.
Yahuwah wasn't residing in there.
Yes.
So this was the last of the
Levitical. Oh,
Okay, so-
of the beast.
no, wait.
Well, I don't know. I just know that Herod
Uh-huh.
was the one that rebuilt the temple.
Yeah.
Okay, so then if we go back to in the 7 churches,
Okay.
and it talks about in one of the churches, I can't remember which, but it talks about them enduring because they lived where Satan dwelled,
Okay.
lived where his throne is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll look that up.
Yeah.
And
And so I believe that
In one
was
of the churches.
in
One of the
Jerusalem,
churches.
in one of the churches, yeah, in chapter 2 or 3. Now, if we read down here, let's keep reading in Revelation 13. So let's see, verse 2, and the wild beast which I saw, likened to a leopard, and his feet as a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. So he was vicious, he was fierce, and he swept across the world, and he devoured whom he may. And the Rome devoured. He attacked and devoured every single city that he could come again. He could take down. Okay? And there was, when Yahushua was born, there was what they called Pax Romana, meaning there was world peace because nobody was fighting against Rome at that time. They had conquered the whole world that they saw. The then known world. Okay. And, okay, so I'm reading on. And the dragon gave to him his power. Who was the dragon? The
Satan.
dragon we read in chapter 12. It was Satan, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The beast of old, the one of old that tempted Adam and Eve, that one. He gave to the beast his power
Oh.
and his throne.
Oh, right. There you go.
Where was the seat of Satan? The throne of Satan,
Oh my-
the synagogue of Satan. I want you guys to grab this.
So Satan gave his power to
Rome
Rome
and during Yahusha, or when John was writing this, it was Nero that was reigning. Okay, Satan the dragon
Wow.
gave him
Nero
his power
great authority.
and his throne and his great authority. Now,
So he is the one, it was Nero, and that's the,
yes.
I'm not going to get into all of that.
Yes.
The one they're looking for.
Okay, and one from out of his heads was as having been slain to death, and the wound of his death was cured. Okay, they believed at that time, though then known world believed Nero was God, and he would be resurrected. I read this on something online. And for years and years and years, even up into like the 15th and 18th century, they still believed Nero was going to come back from the dead.
Oh, wow.
They meaning the
The
Jews?
world.
The world.
The world.
Okay.
Yeah. Because he was so wicked, and they spread that lie. They believed Nero was God and that he was going to come back from the dead, and they had such fear of him. Okay.
And the wound of his death was cured.
And there was wonder in all of the land after the wild beast. Okay, in the land of
What verse are you
Judea,
at right now?
I'm in verse 3.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
I'm looking like everywhere else.
okay,
right now.
they had statues of Nero in the marketplaces.
Yeah.
And they had to worship that statue, the statue of the
That's-
beast. And they sacrificed an animal to it, took the ashes and put it on their wrist or on their forehead in order to go into that marketplace to buy or sell.
Right.
The mark of the beast.
The mark of the beast.
Mark of the beast.
Okay.
Wow.
So, who is likened? Okay, where am I at? I lost my place.
Verse 4.
Verse 4. And they did not.
No,
they did
no,
obeisance.
No.
What-
Let's do verse 3 again.
Verse 3.
Look at
Okay,
verse 3
and
again.
one from out of his heads was as having been slain to death, and the wound of his death was cured. He didn't die technically.
Yeah.
But he had this- Okay, he was
One of his
as
heads. One of his heads.
yeah, and that
Oh,
was
okay.
Nero that they're talking about. Okay, it was as if he had been slain to death, not that he was slain to death, but it was as if, because they deemed him to be God and that he was immortal. Okay, there was a belief in the whole then known world that he was immortal.
Okay.
Sounds like the Antichrist, right?
Yeah. Everybody's looking for it.
And there was wonder in all the earth, or all the land, after the wild beast. And they did obeisance, which means worship, to the dragon,
Not the beast.
to
The
who
dragon.
was synagogue of Satan.
Satan. Oh my goodness.
So they were worshiping Satan in that temple.
Giving the authority to the wild beast. They were worshiping Satan and giving the authority to the wild beast.
Mhm.
And we know from Josephus they called Nero the beast.
Right.
And
Yeah, we read about that, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah, we
In
did.
previous-
Yeah.
yeah. And they did worship or obeisance to the wild beast, saying, "Who is likened to the wild beast? And who is mighty to wage war with him?" See, nobody would dare wage war with the wild beast, with Rome, the Roman Empire. Okay? And a mouth was given to him, speaking great things and blasphemy. And authority was given to him to make war for 42 months. Here
Yep.
that comes again. We
Yep.
read it. We read times, times, and half a time in chapter 12. Okay, and that actually is referred to in Daniel chapter 12, verse 6 and 7. that time, times, and half a time.
Mhm.
And then in chapter 12, we also read about the 1,260 days.
Right.
And then we go back to chapter 11. It was 42 months,
Right.
and there was 3.5 years. You see all this?
It's all the same
It's
amount of
all
time.
repeating it over and over
Same.
with different details. So here we got 42 months again.
So that kind of solidifies the thought that the Old Testament is pointing to the destruction of Jerusalem.
And some of it, yeah, some of it. Some of it was, and it was being destroyed. And why? Why? Because they were harlotrous. They
They were
were,
worshiping
they were,
Satan.
yes,
Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even when they were in Egypt, they were worshiping
yes,
Well, this is out and out. This is
Yeah.
in your
Yes.
face.
Satan. I know.
yeah. So there was always a remnant, though, that worshiped the one true God. But the rest, they worshipped all kinds of everything. Idolatry. It was all about idolatry,
Yeah.
and it was then.
It's like the fish story.
Why do you think Yahusha came in the temple and he got pissed off? And he,
Yeah.
you know, he threw everything. This was supposed to be the house of worship. What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
You're
You made it a den of thieves.
blaspheming my Father.
Yeah. So, and, okay, where are we at?
And he
7.
opened his mouth.
And he opened his mouth for blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tent.
Which would
What's
be
his tent? His tabernacle.
his tabernacle.
That's what mine
His
says,
dwelling
tabernacle.
place.
Mine says dwelling place.
Okay. And the ones encamping in the heaven. So remember, the temple represented heaven and earth, where heaven and earth met.
Mhm.
And those who the true priests, the true Zadok priests, they were kicked out of the temple.
Mhm.
That was
Now,
a long time ago,
that-
wasn't that?
That happened just before this, but it was the Romans that kicked them out of the
Mhm.
temple, and they were the ones that were in charge. They took the
Mm-hmm.
temple library with them, what they could, and that's the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Right.
Okay, so now we're putting all this together.
Mhm.
So they left the temple. So really, when Jesus walked through it, and he's saying,
He said that it was already desolate.
yeah, it was already God wasn't in there. There
Exactly.
wasn't anything
No,
of God in
exactly.
there.
No,
Not even any
None of it.
not even any godly worshipers.
Right.
no,
That's what I'm
Yeah.
trying
There
to
were
say.
none. It was
yeah.
It
It
was
was-
already
It
Satan.
was all a ceremony,
Yeah.
you know, delusional ceremony and stuff, and Rome was at the center of it.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness.
I keep picturing that.
That's why they believe the revived.
Of
Have you
Nero?
ever heard of the revived Roman
Oh
Empire?
yeah.
They need the Roman Empire to revive itself in order for all this to be fulfilled. No, they don't have to, because it already happened.
Yeah.
They just don't want to believe that it already happened.
Wow.
They're just trying to justify why they don't have to serve Yahuwah, I think, sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, there is that part.
And it, okay. I mean, this is,
I know.
my mouth is like dropping open about all this. I don't know how you're feeling, Carol, but
I'm holding my mouth so it won't drop anymore.
Yeah.
Is John there with you?
Yes, he's drinking coffee, watching me hold my mouth.
Oh, okay. What do you guys think about all this?
I mean, the money I have spent on Revelation teachings and what they taught. Oh my gosh, it was like a fairy tale. This is so real.
This
This
is
is
something.
really real.
And you know that this is truth.
Yep.
I mean, I got this information off of Wikipedia.
Well, you'll
You
find
know?
me when you search for me with your whole
Yeah, I
heart,
mean,
so-
seriously, because I had gotten the names from a video previously, I think from Adam Marshak. So I thought, well, you know what? I need to test this. I need to go back and see, and make sure that he was telling the truth. And so I Googled first world leader Roman world leader, and Julius Caesar came up, and then they attribute Augustus to be actually the first official emperor. He actually fully succeeded where Julius Caesar didn't. But these are the 7 heads, and the heads of state, the head of the beast. So the beast is Rome.
Rome is the beast. These
So
are the heads of
I mean,
the
that would
beast
make
system.
sense.
The beast system.
That makes sense. And then the 10 diadems are the 10 provinces, and one of those was Judea.
Look how much he looks like his dad.
If
That is a
So, yeah.
baby Kevin right there. I'm
Satan
telling you.
gave his authority to Nero
Yes.
and Rome.
Mhm.
Yes.
And let's say Jesus locked Satan away, but the authority had already been given to Nero and Rome. That's why we have so much evil in the world.
But see, now you're putting a future into this. Let's try not to do that right now.
Okay.
We want to keep this in the past at the moment because
Okay.
we can really mess ourselves up. Okay? Because,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so if we can try to keep it in the past while we're
still
studying it,
studying history.
and then we can apply it.
Yeah.
Okay, does that make sense
Okay.
to our present?
Yeah.
Because we can get all screwed up. So let's see. Okay, and in verse 7, and was given to him to make war with the holy ones, and to overcome them, and was given to him authority over every tribe and language and nation. The Rome had conquered the then known world.
And they-
Okay, and they did
Is that
obeisance
supposed
to
to
him.
be, we're in verse 8, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Just starting.
Is
at
that-
starting.
Verse 7 is what I just read.
Okay, so did your version say world, nation, land?
Every
Okay,
tribe and language and nation.
overcome them all,
kindred.
giving him authority over every tribe and language and nation.
Okay. Is that that's supposed to be nation? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, what does yours say?
Nation. I wasn't sure it was supposed to be land again.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, yeah.
Does that make
na-
sense?
Yeah,
I think
it's a
I think
different
this
word.
is literal. This is the known
nation.
world.
Yeah, the then known
The
world.
then known
So-
world.
So it makes a whole lot of sense.
And it
Roman.
says nation, not
Yeah.
nations.
So the one world government
The
was
nation.
the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
That we're trying to put into our future, that we are trying to create to make our future fit into the book of Revelation.
We're not supposed to partake in wickedness.
No.
we're not.
Yahuwah uses wickedness to sometimes bring judgment, but we're not supposed to partake in
Yeah.
wickedness.
Try to make it
So
happen.
whether that means we send money or whatever, we're not supposed to
So
try
the-
to participate in that.
Okay.
oh my
And that's where we've gotten
Lord.
mixed up.
Yes, that's where we've gotten messed up. Yes. And okay, and they did obeisance to him, so they worshipped him. All the ones dwelling upon the land.
Mhm, mhm.
When the true King of the Jews came, they rejected him.
Yep. Upon that earth, whose name?
Verse 8 says foundation of the world. Is that correct, or does that need to be something else?
Needs the dwelling upon the land. It
On
should
the
be-
land.
It says earth, but it means the land.
Yeah, all those dwelling upon the land.
So it's not cosmos.
It's not world. No, it's not cosmos.
Mm-mm.
It's still that land. They had been
Whose name?
whose name has not been written in the book of life. Now, okay, the book of life, the Great White Throne Judgment talks about those who. So those in the land whose name was not written in the book of life worshipped the beast. Okay, so the book of life was already there, open.
Okay.
You see,
The book of life is past
Yeah,
tense.
Yes.
because we're talking about
those who were not written in the book of life, those who were written in the book of life were of the New Jerusalem. It was okay back then. If you were a resident, you were written in the books as the resident
Oh,
of
right.
the city.
Right.
Okay?
That's
So
one
the
way
book
they
of
put
life
genealogy.
was the book of the New Jerusalem. Who was a resident of the New Jerusalem?
Okay. That's what
The book of
refers to.
life. Yes.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Can you
How
repeat
did you
that?
know about that?
How did? Well, I learned that
What the book
in
of life.
something I was set
Back
my
when.
study. I don't know. But historically, they had books for who were residents of cities. They had a book that was written, and they had their names written in the book. Okay, the book of life is the residents of the New Jerusalem. And whose name was not written in the book of life worshiped the beast who sat upon the temple, who was who had Satan was of that temple, the Roman temple, and they were not written in the book of life.
Wait a minute. Start again. The book of life that represented.
The believers.
The believers.
The New Jerusalem.
They were written in the book of life,
Just
which is
the
the
believers?
residency of the New
Yes.
Jerusalem.
Oh,
The
New
spiritual
Okay.
Jerusalem.
Okay.
Okay? It's a city books.
Yeah. Okay. That
The
was only-
residents.
only
So it was for just that time period.
And I really believe so. But see, we're written in the book of life because now it continued on. It's the end of the old covenant and the beginning of the new.
I thought at first maybe you were saying Book of Life was just for then.
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
no.
from a physical point of view.
But it
that's-
was from then. It's not into the future. You see what? Those who will be written in the book. No, it was already
started.
then.
What you're saying
It
it started
started
then.
It was already
and we just
then.
get added as we choose righteousness.
Yes.
Now, from a physical viewpoint, this is the start of controlling humanity by putting the name of someone in a book. And now it's progressed to
No.
zip codes.
No.
Zip
This was
codes
the
is
book
a
of
way-
life was not the beginning of it. That was Yeshua's book of life.
But
Excuse
see,
me.
what you see when
Hold
Yahusha,
on.
when they had to go to Bethlehem when he was born,
That was for tax purposes.
Yeah.
because their name was written in Bethlehem. Their name was written for that city.
Correct.
They were registered in that city.
Correct.
So they had to travel back to their hometown.
Correct.
It's the same type of book.
Yeah.
They had an understanding of that because that's how Rome did it.
So
Does that make sense?
where's the book of life? Who?
It's a spiritual
It's a spiritual.
thing, but
exactly.
but the original readers would understand this.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Right.
So-
They would understand this because they
But-
had to go and do the census every
Correct.
so many years.
And in that regard, Nancy,
We're not done yet.
that's a true statement. In
I
that
know it
regard.
is. I
But
know it.
not
They've been
Yeshua's.
doing this all along.
Yeah, but not the.
When they started the zip codes, that's the most recent that I think
So-
that keep control of
So
everything.
anyway,
Anyway,
yeah. So Rome did that. So they had an understanding. Those who did not worship the beast were the ones written in the book of life.
Yeah.
So all those of the world. Okay, we'll read this again. Verse 8. And they did obeisance to him, all the ones dwelling upon the earth, whose name has not been written in the book of life
Of the
of the Lamb.
Right.
Of the Lamb.
Right.
His
Okay.
book. The book of eternal life.
okay.
So
Okay.
all the ones who were not believers in Yahusha were worshiping this beast
We're
Right.
not in the
at
book.
that time.
Yeah.
Okay?
The Lamb having been slain from the founding of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and that
From
is
the founding of the
cosmos.
land.
Nope, it's
Nope, that's
cosmos.
cosmos. That is correct.
Oh.
That's cosmos.
Oh,
And
at the
having
end of verse
been
8 should be
yep.
world.
Yeah.
The
Having
inhabited
been
world,
slain from the foundation of the cosmos.
Oh.
Oh, cosmos. Oh, the
Yeah.
every.
Look at the Greek.
everything.
What's that Greek word, Nancy?
Honey, I can't
Oh, you
see
don't
it.
have the Greek. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
wet.
It's cosmos.
Okay.
And if anyone has an ear, hear. If anyone has captivity, into captivity he goes. So if they're already in bondage to this, they continue. If anyone who kills with the sword it must be for him to be killed by the sword. Here is the endurance of the belief of the holy ones.
Wow.
What's the first letter of that word?
Which word?
Captivity. World.
Cosmos.
It is kappa.
Cosmos?
Kappa.
A K. It looks like a
Cosmos,
K.
yeah. It's kappa.
Because the other one's
Omicron,
ecumene.
Yes.
me. See how
Yes,
you recognize them?
Kappa.
Ecumene.
From.
Me.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Me.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or there's a sigma in there too. Cosmos.
yeah. There's sigma.
And then
Cool.
me.
Yeah.
See?
Yes.
See
Yes.
how easy it is?
Well, no,
Yeah.
but
Okay, so now there's actually two beasts
Okay.
that this is talking about. First beast had the 7 heads. Now
So
we
the
get
first
into
beast was Rome.
Yeah.
That we've been talking about verses 1
Yeah.
through.
so the wild beast with
10.
7 heads is Rome.
Rome, and Nero is the current leader, current head of that beast
With Nero.
that they believed was immortal.
Okay, so the wild beast with 7
Okay.
heads was Rome
So-
with Nero as the head.
Okay, so
All right.
now, and I saw another wild beast ascending from out of where? The land.
Earth. Okay.
The land. One came from
Okay.
the sea, the Gentiles. The other one comes from the land. So where did this beast came out from among themselves, from Judea.
Yeah,
From
didn't come out
Israel.
of the ocean.
So they were Jews.
this-
Right, so it was a Jew.
It was a Jew.
Oh, wow.
Coming up out of the earth.
The earth, the
Okay.
land represents
Jerusalem.
Jerusalem, Jews, people of Judea,
Okay.
or
Good or
Israel,
bad?
good or bad.
Okay.
Okay,
And I just
And-
going to start again. And I saw another wild beast
ascending from out of the land, and he had 2 horns, likened to a lamb, and spoke as a dragon.
Ooh.
So
He looked like a lamb,
And
but he spoke like a dragon. So I did not get far enough in my studies to figure out who this guy is.
What?
But,
Thank you.
and my phone died and I couldn't go any further. But we know, okay, let's keep reading about this guy. And
He
Um,
executes
and
all-
he executes all the authority of the first wild beast of Rome. So he was somebody who was appointed for Rome,
let me read what
by
what's
Rome.
his name says. And on verse 11, the beast, the wild beast, but distinguished from that of verse 1. See verses 12 and 14, 15, and so on. The beast of verse 1 is political. This beast is religious.
Okay,
That we're
it comes
currently-
from the Jew,
Yeah.
from the
It's,
Jews.
there you go.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
from among themselves.
That's reasonable.
And but he, okay,
So
but
do you think this is out of the is this out of the remnant?
no,
No.
no, this is
Okay.
Rome, we know, or not Rome, the Jews at that time, Josephus talked about there was like 3 factions. It was split in 2 and they were infighting. One was
Okay.
for Rome and one was for autonomy against Rome.
Okay.
And then there was also the zealots. There was the ones that refused to fight. And then there, like the peacekeepers, in which we believe were probably the Christians. And then there was the ones that were saying, I want autonomy. And then there was the ones that were for Rome.
Okay.
So there was this fight. So I assume the side of the ones that were for Rome, for the wild beast, up came this person. And there's too much to study to figure out who it actually is. But I see that it was that then known world of Rome was the wild beast.
Okay.
So we read here, verse 12, and he executes all the authority of the first wild beast, all the authority of Rome.
Okay, that would be the political.
Like Herod. Herod would have been, maybe Herod was the wild beast with the 2 horns. I don't know. Or whoever succeeded Herod. But he was the one that said, okay, Rome says I do this, so I do it. He executed the authority of the wild beast
Okay.
in the land. Okay?
So he was
that
like,
was the political
so
beast.
appointed by
The first
the
one.
first beast?
Yes,
The first beast was
Yes.
the political
he
beast.
came out from amongst the land. So whoever that
According to
was.
this.
So it could have, so like you have the 10 kingdoms. So one of those could have been one of the, from the Jews.
Yes. So the one kingdom was the kingdom of Judea, and they had when Yahushua was born, Herod was the king that the Romans appointed was king, and he was a Roman emperor. Oh,
Was
or
he a
Roman
Jew
king.
originally?
I don't know. I think he was a Roman, but I don't know because they had dual citizenship too. So I don't know. We could do more research into that. I didn't dig.
But
too
anyway,
deep.
but somebody from the Jews said, I'm gonna partner with Rome in a sense,
Exactly.
and I'm going to rule from Rome.
And
from
they
the
saw,
Jews.
and apparently Nero saw him as the king of Judea.
Mhm.
And I didn't, which we could do more research. I didn't know who followed Herod after Herod died. And was it Agrippa? I think it's in the Bible. I didn't do all
I
that
do too, but I
study, but
can't tell
if
right
we
now.
did that study, I think we'd figure out who this wild beast was.
Yeah.
And I didn't look in Adam Marshak's notes, see if he found it either. I don't know. He may have it written down. Somebody's already studied this out. But now you guys are on the track, what I meant. Okay, so he was appointed, and before him, and he caused the land and the ones dwelling in it, that they should worship the first wild beast.
Right. Rome. that
So
they should
he
worship
was
Rome.
the enforcer
Mhm.
of the worshiping of the first wild
He
beast.
came out of Jerusalem, but he enforced worship
Of the
to
first
Rome. Okay.
Yes. Of which was cured the wound of his death.
Mhm. Worship
Um,
to Rome.
And he works great signs and fire, that from out of the heaven it should come down upon the land before men. Now, I'm thinking that some people think this may have been John Levi that we read about, because
Yeah.
he had the temple. He was ruling over the temple
Mhm.
while they were having all that infighting during that time. I don't know, but it sounds to me like it was somebody who Rome appointed. So, from
Which
what
kind of
this
makes
says.
sense,
Yeah.
right? You find somebody who's willing, who maybe has maybe a little bit more respect, I guess, in that community, to go, hey, why don't you do this for me, and I'll give you this power, and blah blah blah,
Mhm.
and then that person can
Quid pro
deceive
quo.
and get those to follow along with him a little bit easier
Yeah.
than some
And maybe
new
he
guy
was
from
maybe he was the
Rome,
high
right?
priest that was appointed by Rome. I don't know.
Hmm.
But now we see,
He said
and
it's
or
supposed
maybe
to
it
be-
was like the beast was actually Rome. Maybe it was a position,
Mhm.
a position with two
Um,
horns. So
the
maybe it
switch.
was two people,
Second one from the left.
because we see the
Yeah.
two
Now
horns
if you pull
or the 10 horns.
the short
10
strand, I
provinces.
think.
Well, Jerusalem was
It'll slow
divided
down.
into two.
Right.
Josephus talks about that. Jerusalem was divided into two, and then finally into three.
There
So
you go.
maybe when during
think.
this moment it was
Made
divided
that
into
steady
two.
up. One more.
That could be.
Mhm. Mhm.
No.
Mm.
Now it's slow down. Yeah, it's slow down.
That isn't that crazy? I didn't even get into 14. So then we go on to 14, and
Okay.
he misleads the ones of mine dwelling upon the land by the signs which were given to him to do before the wild beast, saying to the ones dwelling upon the land, to make an image to the wild beast which had the wound of the sword and lived. See, they so believed that Nero
And
was.
that is Nero.
Yes,
the
they
image of
believed
the beast is
Nero was immortal. Maybe he was like presumed dead. Maybe he was stabbed and he lived. I don't know.
Or
Or
a deadly wound means you're dead.
yeah,
Well-
well, and he didn't die. He lived. Apparently, Nero and Nero was possessed by Satan.
Oh, okay. That
Which had
explains
to
it.
Yeah,
do-
and then eventually he committed suicide,
Yeah.
and he
Okay.
actually really did die. And was given to him breath to give to the image of the wild beast. That
Okay, all right.
that also the image of the wild beast should speak and should cause as many as would not worship to the image of the wild beast that they should be killed. So anybody that didn't worship Rome,
Wait a minute. It says
Was
it's
killed.
giving a voice to the image.
yeah,
Where are you reading?
maybe the idol, the statue, they believed had some
Was able to speak.
power.
Right.
So they
And was
they gave a belief system that if they did not bow down to that image, that they would be killed.
so
They gave it life.
Nero
They had statues of Nero.
and was given to him breath to give to the image of the wild beast, that also the image of the wild beast should speak and should cause as many as would not do obeisance to the image of the wild beast,
Bollinger says the miracles here
that
are
they
to
should be
impress
killed.
credulous unbelievers.
Yeah, but the image was
Yeah,
speaking.
but they were satanic
Maybe.
Yeah, that's what it says.
satanic stuff. Well, we hear about Catholics. Oh my, the statue
Mary's
of Mary was
crying.
crying,
Crying,
stuff
yeah,
like
that's
that.
all. Oh man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they want to think that those idols, which were possessed by demons.
Okay, I'm just going to make a little note here, though, because this wild beast is Nero. Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
because the other wild beast is giving credence to that wild beast.
Right.
I mean, in
Causing
that
them to-
sense, it's almost like the same beast.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
They just took somebody, like it says, who would deceive those dwelling in the land. They just found somebody to do his dirty work so that he would be more able to deceive them
Yeah.
easier.
yeah.
Okay, and he causes, verse 16,
And he causes all the small and the great and the rich and the poor and the free and the bondmen, that there should be given to them
Wow.
an imprint upon the right of their hand or upon their foreheads, and the one no one should be able to buy or sell except the one having the imprint or the name of the wild beast or the number of his name. Now, they did studies, and Nero's full name, if you add it up in Hebrew, and the Hebrew numbers
666.
is
Yeah.
is the 666.
I know, is that not wild?
Well, sure explains a lot, doesn't it?
So
So-
Nero in Hebrew, what letters?
Yeah, the full name of Nero, whatever his real name is, if you look
Yeah.
that up, is comes to the number of
Represents
666.
Because each letter has a
In the
specific
Hebrew.
So
number.
I think, this is my personal opinion, I think John was writing in code here to get any Roman that would caught up and picked up this book and read it, they wouldn't see that he was writing about Nero.
Mhm.
Because otherwise
So
they
he
kill
called
him.
him the wild beast, the one with the seven
Yeah.
heads, the one,
Yeah.
and everyone that knew scripture would know who he's
Who he's
talking,
talking
about.
about.
And
Right.
said, don't go in, don't take that imprint, don't, and the best way I could explain it was like if you go to a theme park and they give you a stamp on your hand before
Right,
you can walk in,
right.
That's a good way to say it.
so they
still-
know.
But you had to worship the image
You
before
had to
you could
worship
get
the
stamped.
image. Yes.
So you couldn't just go through nilly
Yeah.
willy with your hand marked out.
No,
But
you
he's
had to
still in the
worship.
You had to
spirit here,
worship
right? And all of this, he's still in the spirit.
Who's in the spirit?
John.
No,
When he,
I don't think so.
Well,
He didn't
Who
say.
is it
He didn't
that I
say,
stood
and
at
I
the-
was in the spirit. He
no,
said,
but
I
he
stood
said-
on the sand
but
of the
he started
sea and I
out
saw
with
the.
that, and he hasn't
Yeah.
changed it.
Well, not necessarily, because there's other times when he does say, and I was in the spirit. So
Okay.
there,
Well,
doesn't
and I stood
necessarily mean
about
that.
the sand upon the sand of the sea, and saw a
His-
beast rise up.
Okay.
Blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
and he was alive when this beast rose up. He was alive before the beast rose up before
Okay.
he was
Yeah,
alive.
yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Okay.
So, one way or the other.
And even if he says, I was in the spirit when I saw this,
Yeah.
you know, any Roman soldier or Roman person would pick up this book and think, oh, this is another that Jewish apocalyptic stuff, and, you know, toss it, you know. But what if he spoke in code?
Well, he's if we go along with the church's letters, Yahuwah is trying to warn them
Yes.
so that those who, it says here, those who have ears, let him hear. So he's saying, you know, there is going to be somebody that basically comes from you, right? In a sense,
Yeah.
that you're going to have maybe more of a inkling to trust. Don't trust that person because they're working for Nero. They have just as much authority as Nero, and he's warning them, like, if you here's wisdom. If you understand what I'm saying, like, don't follow, don't worship, don't go in the market, don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
This.
Yeah. That it's
But
amazing.
you can't remember Nero's full name.
No, I didn't. Never wrote it down. You guys can look it up.
yeah,
It's on.
yeah.
It's on
I'm sure you can Google
Wikipedia.
it.
You can
Well, I
Google.
think that Adam Marshak, didn't he show it?
Yeah, he did. So
Look it up on your iPad.
yeah, my phone went dead and I couldn't study anymore. I had to plug it in. So
That's just amazing.
yeah, I mean it's just crazy. But we see all of that, and yeah, and I know we talked about this in previous times, but see how everything's tying in, and it's just speaking about the same time period over and over again. The 3.5 years, it's over and over. 42 months, the witnesses, all of it. It's the same time period, and he repeats that over and over and over again. So we got to get that through our heads. He's talking about the same time period.
That just doesn't that just set you free?
Yeah, that's what excites me.
Yeah, just
I don't. You know how many times I prayed? Please don't let me take the mark of the beast. I don't want to take
everybody's
the mark of the beast.
saying,
I'm so afraid of the mark of the,
Me too.
Oh, my
yeah,
goodness.
is it the Social Security? What is it? What's
Yeah.
the mark of the beast? I don't want it.
oh no, now
So
it's
scared. Now it's a chip in the
chipping.
hand. Oh, I don't want to take the mark of the beast.
Anya,
Huh.
John just looked up Nero's name.
okay, what is it?
It's Nero, Claudius, Caesar, Augustus, Germanicus.
Okay, Nero, Claudius,
Caesar, Augustus.
Caesar, Augustus, Germanicus.
Yeah. So whatever they called him in that day,
Caesar, Nero,
that he was
Claudius,
known for. Yeah.
Caesar, Germanicus, Claudius, Caesar.
Yes, Germanicus, like German.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Germanicus.
Yeah. Because his father was Claudius Germanicus. I just wrote down Claudius.
Claudius, Caesar, Germanicus.
Yeah.
Nero, Claudius, Caesar, Germanicus.
Yeah.
So I guess they took the names on like a lot of people from Spanish countries.
Yeah.
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 Well, and those are all previous successors too,
Yeah.
Yes.
right? Names of
Because
previous
this is all the Julian Dynasty. They are all related.
And his number.
See,
Yeah,
they're all related. Okay. It all
Six.
ties,
Yeah.
They're all related. They're all
Wow.
genetically
it all
related.
ties in like today. All the elite are all
Yeah.
related.
Okay,
Yeah, but
John.
you see, it was all already happened. So
No, I know that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
yeah,
just show that it's the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Nothing has changed.
yeah. And the fact that they read this, they've already read it and think, okay, how can we make this happen?
Oh, yeah.
John.
Yeah. John.
John.
You have to unmute. We can't hear you, John.
Yes, yes.
Would you say those names one more time, please?
Okay, it's Nero, Claudius, Caesar, Augustus,
Oh,
Germanicus.
okay. I forgot Augustus already.
And I think
Okay.
Adam Marshak in his website, adammarshak.com, I think in his study of Revelation, he goes over this, in which I didn't read because my phone went dead. And he
So
goes over
finish
the
your studies
666.
So we can go more into this next week before we start.
Yeah, we could. Because this is really important.
Yeah.
And realizing who, all this stuff. So I think this is my opinion that chapter 11 and 12 goes into the spirit behind what was happening physically. Does that make sense? Because the devil possessed the wild beast, possessed Nero,
Right.
and then we see that the devil was after God's people, and
So
that
that
kind of
really
stuff.
explains a lot as far as evil in the
Yes,
earth.
yes. And so he spiritualized it. And remember, we're still in the seventh trumpet, we're still in the seventh seal, we're still in the woes, because we didn't leave those yet. And now we're going to go back to the 144,000 in chapter 14.
This is just so awesome. It really
Yeah,
is.
this is it. Putting history to it, I think it helps us. It really does. And once we get the history down, then we can apply the principles to our personal
Right.
life.
Okay, there you go.
Instead of always trying to focus it on the future. When Yahusha said, don't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow has its own worries. Because when we're so focused on the future, we miss out today. Yeah. I think we're done.
Wow.
But wasn't this good?
I thought it was great. John's here. Let's have John do closing prayer.
Yeah, John, you want to pray?
All right.
He's pointing to the speaker.
Abba, Father, thank you for today. Thank you for the words from Anya and the teachings, and gives us lots of things to think about. And bless Anya for being our teacher and giving us these wonderful words to think on and study more.
Hallelujah.
May we all have a blessed week and be healthy and continue to share the word
Hallelujah.
with Yeshua and
Hallelujah.
we just
He can't talk. Thank you, Father, for allowing us to have this privilege to really think this through and see it in our lives, to understand these things. It is so marvelous, Father. And we just ask you so much to bless everybody, to enjoy this new season we're coming into with the spring. And Father, bless everybody at this table and who's hearing these words.
Hallelujah.
In
Hallelujah.
Jesus' name we pray.
Hallelujah.
amen.
Thank you.
And Miss Olivia wants to say hi.
Hi, Olivia.
Hi.
Hi, Olivia.
She said, "Oh, there's Zoe.
Love you, sister.
Who's that?
This is Zoe.
I'll let you.
Zoe.
Oh,
All
that's
right.
Olivia.
This is
Oh,
Olivia.
there's Zoe.
There's Zoe.
Oh, Zoe is over there. Okay.
She's so proud of her new teeth. She got new teeth.
Let's see. Let's
She's
see.
5.
And she can whistle.
I just
Oh, man.
Whistle's better than John.
Yeah.
You have to lose your teeth, John, in order to whistle. That's what Zoe told me.
Get those teeth out of the way so you can whistle.
Yes.
There you go.
Well, we will see you guys later.
Yes. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
God bless you. And bye-bye.
Mm-mm-mm.